Chapter 17, Ma's Birthday Cake. Grandma was baking, and I had volunteered my services as onlooker and commentator. "When can I bake something, Grandma?" I asked. "I'm old enough to bake by myself. I can read the recipe and measure things." "Yes," said Grandma, "I believe you could. In fact, you would probably do a better job than I did the first time." Grandma laughed as she reached for the cookie pans. "Ma was going to have a birthday," Grandma continued, "and I thought it would be a good idea to have a surprise party for her. I talked it over with Pa, and he agreed that it would be nice. We could have the party in the front yard. There were lots of trees and soft grass, and it would be an excellent place for all the neighbors to gather. How this could be accomplished without Ma suspecting, we didn't know, but we were determined to try. Fortune was with us, for on the morning of the party, Ma discovered that she had to make a trip to town before she could finish the shirts she was sewing for the boys. "Mabel," she said, "how would you like to go into town with me this morning? We can leave right after breakfast and be back in time to get dinner for Pa and the boys." Usually I would not have been able to finish my breakfast for thinking of a trip to town, but this morning my thoughts were on the party. What luck! With Ma gone, I could bake her a birthday cake. "I guess I won't go this morning, Ma," I replied. "I think I'd rather stay here." Ma looked at me with concern. "Are you sick?" she asked. "Do you have a fever?" She felt my head anxiously. "Oh, no, Ma," I said quickly. "I feel just fine. I'll even do the dishes for you if you'd like to get started right away." Ma looked puzzled, but she had no time to pursue the matter further. I began to clear the table and get the dishes ready to wash. This was not usually one of my favorite jobs, but today was a special day. Ma was soon ready to leave. She stopped at the door and looked at me suspiciously. "Are you sure you don't want to come?" she said. "Are you planning some kind of mischief while I'm gone?" "Of course not, Ma," I said. "I'll be as good as can be. You don't have to worry about me." Ma's look said that she would worry about me, but she got to the buggy, and I watched as she and Nellie disappeared down the lane. Quickly I finished the dishes and began to gather the things necessary for the cake. I knew exactly what was needed. I had watched Ma stir up a cake so many times that I hadn't the least doubt about my ability to make one too. The oven would present a little problem. I decided to ask Pa to fix the fire for me. I found him in the barn. "Pa," I said, "I'm making a birthday cake for Ma. Would you build up the fire for me?" Pa looked surprised. "Are you sure you can do that by yourself, Mabel? You've never baked a cake before, have you?" "No," I said, "but I've watched Ma a lot. I'm sure I can do it, Pa. Please let me try." Pa was reluctant, but he came into the kitchen and fixed the fire. After giving me careful instructions about the hot oven, he returned to the barn. I began happily mixing the cake in Ma's biggest mixing bowl. I had left nothing out, I was sure. The batter looked just wonderful. As I greased the cake tins, I went back over the things I had put in the cake. Suddenly, I remembered. The flavoring! I hadn't put any flavoring in it. Quickly, I ran to the pantry and reached for the big Watkins bottle that held the vanilla. Carefully, I measured and stirred in the flavoring and returned the bottle to the shelf. The cake was ready to bake. I pulled my chair up near the oven to keep an eye on things. It was a warm spring day, and I longed to be outside, but I dare not leave my cake for a moment. What if one of the boys came in, slammed the door, and made it fall? Nothing must happen to ruin this cake. Nothing did. It was high and golden brown. It looked every bit as good as Ma's cakes. Proudly, I set the tins on the table to cool. I had only to make the frosting and hide the cake before Ma returned. When the buggy turned in the lane shortly before dinner, I was swinging under the big tree. I ran to help Ma with her bundles as Roy led Nellie to the barn. I longed to tell her my secret, but of course I couldn't. This was to be a surprise party. If Ma suspected anything, she didn't let on. She returned to her sewing, and I spent the afternoon hanging on the front gate, waiting for the first arrivals to the party. They were to come at supper time, and the ladies would all bring something good to eat. I was sure that no one would come with as beautiful a cake as mine, though. And I was right. Ma was surprised and pleased. "You made this all by yourself, Mabel?" she asked. "Why, it is just lovely. I had no idea you could do that." Proudly I handed Ma the knife. "You must have the first piece because it's your birthday," I said. Ma cut the cake and took a large slice on her plate. She took a bite, and an odd look came over her face. Something was wrong, I thought. But what could it be? I watched anxiously, but Ma kept on eating. Satisfied with my success, I ran to play with the other children. That evening, when the last guest was gone, we sat in the kitchen talking over the surprise. And the biggest surprise was Mabel's cake, Ma said. "It was the most unusual cake I've ever eaten." "What did you flavor it?" "What did you use to flavor it, Mabel?" she asked. "Why, the vanilla, Ma," I said, "just like you always use." "Show me where you got it," said Ma. "Where did you find the vanilla?" Ma followed me to the pantry, and I pointed to the big bottle on the shelf. Ma took it down and looked at it. Then she began to laugh. On the front of the bottle, the label read, "Watkins Liniment." Ma wiped her eyes and hugged me close. "That's all right, Mabel," she said. "It was a lovely cake. A little liniment never hurt anyone. I couldn't have asked for a better birthday present." Grandma put the cookies in the oven and began clearing the table. She looked thoughtfully at the Watkins vanilla bottle. "Those bottles do look a lot alike," she said. "I'm surprised I haven't done the same thing again. But no one except Ma would have been brave enough to eat it if I had." "I would, Grandma," I assured her. "I'd eat anything you made." "And I would too, even now, if I had the chances."